In this tutorial, we'll learn how to create two types of particle effects. We're going to make one for our player to create a little bit of run dust whenever he's running, and then we're going to make a rain effect that we're going to be able to toggle on and off with a button just to show how it works. We're going to use CPU particles for this tutorial. For our simple project, that's going to be just fine, but if you have a more advanced project, you may want to look into using GPU particles. Let's get into it. First thing we have to do is we're going to create a new node, 2D, and we're going to call this our rain manager. We're going to create a CPU particles 2D node under it, and let's save this as a scene. Just save this in our root right now. We're going to attach a script to it also, call it rain manager. Give this a class name, rain manager. We're going to already variable our CPU particles. We're just going to rename these as rain particles. And we need two more variables. One's going to be an export range. It's going to be from 0 to 1. It's going to be intensity of type float. I'm just going to default at 0.5. We're also going to need a constant of our base particle amount. This is going to be an int. I'm just going to default to 1,000. This is going to be the maximum number of raindrops at any given time that we're going to have. So we're going to need a ready function. We're going to need a function called setup rain particles. We're going to need a method called update rain intensity. And lastly, we're going to need our process function. I'm going to put this up here though. Let's start with the setup of rain particles first. What we're going to be doing is modifying some of the properties within the CPU particles. So we're going to get our rain particles, get the amount, we're going to give it our base. We're going to get the rain particles lifetime, and it's going to equal 0.7. We're going to get the rain particles preprocess, and set it to 1. So obviously the amount is setting it to the number of particles that can exist simultaneously. The lifetime is going to be how long each particle exists in seconds. And then the preprocess is going to simulate particles for this many seconds at the start, which is going to make rain appear immediately rather than fading in. Then we need to do rain particles dot emission shape, which is going to be equal to our CPU particles. We want a emission shape of a rectangle. You can tweak this as you want. You'll see what this looks like when we actually run this. We'll do our rain particles dot emission rect extents, which is going to be equal to a vector 2, 500 and 100. Now we need to work on the particle movement, so we're going to get rain particles dot direction. It's going to be equal to a vector 2, 0 and 1. We're going to get the rain particles spread, which is going to help with the randomness of the particles. Do that 5. And then we're going to do the gravity, which is going to just apply like you would with your player gravity. So we're just going to call this a vector 2, 0 and 980, which I believe is the default for Godot. Now we need to update the particle velocity. So we're going to get our rain particles again. The initial velocity minimum is equal to 400. And then we're going to do the same for our maximum. Just going to equal to 500. Now we have a couple of small visual properties to get. We got our rain properties and our scale amount min. It's going to equal to 0.3. And we need to do the same thing with our max. Just going to be 0.5. All of these you can set in the editor as well, but for these purposes, we're just going to set them in the code. And now in update rain intensity, we're going to, if we have rain particles dot emitting is equal to our intensity greater than 0. All right, now let's go up to our ready method. If rain particles, we're going to set up our rain particles. Rain particles dot emitting equals false. Position equals vector 2. So we're just making sure also here that the particles aren't on ready. They're not going to start raining. So in our process, we're going to be doing if rain particles. So always do the safety check. And we're going to get a camera. It's going to be a camera 2D. It's going to equal get node or null. Go to the root, test level, player, camera 2D. Obviously in your game, you are going to have to play with how you're going to get the camera, but just to get this setting up, this is how we're going to do it. And if we find the camera, we're going to global position. It's going to be equal to the camera.global position plus vector 2, 0, negative 200. To get this running, we're going to go back to our test scene, and we're going to need to make a button for our rain. So we're just going to duplicate the one that we have already. Just going to do start rain. Okay, and we are going to go to our signals. Let's reconnect this. Let's name this rain button. It's on rain button connect. So when we press this, pull in our rain manager into the scene. So pull this up here. Make this an onReady variable. And now in our button pressed, if we have a rain manager with intensity that equals 0, we want to turn the right on. So our rain manager dot intensity is going to equal 1. And we'll also just do our rain button as an onReady, just so you can change the text. Rain button dot text equals stop rain. Else rain manager dot intensity equals 0. So we're gonna turn off the rain. Do our rain button dot text equals start rain. Lastly, we're going to need to go back into our ready method, and we're going to, if we have a rain manager, we're going to rain manager dot intensity equals 0. So just set this to off. And I realize we also forgot one thing in our rain manager. We need to make our export range. This needs to have a setter. So we need to set the value here. Intensity is going to equal the value. And then we are going to update rain intensity. Now we should be able to play this. And we're raining. Cool. All right. Now let's go and do the player particle manager. So we're going to make another 2D node. Call this player particle manager. Let's add CPU particles 2D. We're going to call these run particles. Let's save this. Player particle manager. We're going to attach a script. It can also be called player particle manager. Give it a name. Player particle manager. We are also going to need our onReady variable for these particles. We're going to have a few methods here as well. We're going to have our ready method. We're going to have a method called setUpRunParticles. We're going to have another method called emitRunParticles. And then we're going to have a stopRunParticles. The emitRunParticles is going to also need a direction, which is going to be a float. All right, so let's work on the setup function right now. So we're going to work on some timing properties first. We're going to get our run particles dot lifetime 0.3, run particles dot one shot is false, run particles dot explosiveness is going to be equal to 0, run particles dot spread equal to 15, run particles dot gravity equals to vector 2, 0, 980. A lot of this is going to, or some of this is going to look familiar to our rain manager. And we're going to do run particles dot initial velocity minimum is going to be equal to 30. Run particles dot initial velocity max is going to be equal to 50. We're going to control the size from particles dot scale amount min is going to equal to 1, and our max is going to be equal to 2. And we also want to make this color, I don't want it to be pure white, so we are going to modulate this, and we're going to do like a gray, so you can use these values to get a gray. Okay, then in our emit run particles, we're going to do the safety check on run particles, get our particle direction, which is going to be equal to a vector 2 of negative sign direction, comma, negative 0, 1. Run particles dot direction will equal the particle direction. Then the run particles dot position is going to equal to a vector 2, negative sign, direction, times 10, negative 2. And we're going to get our run particles and turn on emitting. And stop run particles. We're just checking if we have run particles. If we do, we're going to turn emitting to off. We're going to restart our run particles. And then we're going to run particles dot emitting equals false. Just another safety check to make sure that they're off. In our ready method, we're going to do another safety check on if run particles. We're going to set up run particles, and then run particles dot emitting equals false. So they're not on as soon as we load. Then we need to go to our player. We need to add our player particle manager to our player. Make this an on-ready variable. So we're just going to call the player particle managers. That's fine. Now we need to update some stuff in our physics process method. So when we're jumping, I don't want to see the particles when we're jumping. So we're going to go into our player particle manager. And we're going to stop the run particles. We're going to do the same thing here. Okay. And then if we're on the floor and we're running, we're going to player particle manager dot emit run particles and pass in our direction. And then when we're idling, we want to turn these off. Okay. We have one more thing that we want to do. This is air stuff when we're in the air. So we also want to stop the run particles here. Okay, so there are a couple things we need to fix before this is actually going to work. This needs an equal sign. We need to also set the amount. So we need our run particles dot amount. We're going to equal 20. And then we need to set the local coordinates to true. Now when we play this, okay, well, it's still a little bit, we need to, I'm going to adjust the velocity. I don't know if you could see that because it was gray, but the gravity was too strong. So I'm also going to change this to white. We'll do white smoke, why not? So when we play this, now you can see there's a little dust effect. Obviously this doesn't look great because it's just pure white, but we have our particle effects now. Let me know if you'd like to see anything specific in a future tutorial.